There is a very specific version of modern masculinity that we see glorified everywhere today. It is the relentless pursuit of performance. Work harder, train heavier, sleep less, and whatever you do, never, ever slow down. We treat exhaustion like a badge of honor, but behind closed doors, there is a quiet crisis happening. Men everywhere are reporting this overwhelming sense of fatigue, brain fog, terrible sleep, and a complete drop in motivation. They're looking in the mirror and wondering where their drive went.
And the immediate reaction for most men when they feel that drop in drive is to look for a quick fix. They jump online, they look at their symptoms, and they immediately point the finger at one thing: testosterone. They think it is an isolated issue. But that is arguably the biggest misunderstanding in men's health right now. Testosterone does not operate in a vacuum. You cannot just isolate it, boost it, and expect your life to magically fix itself while you continue to burn the candle at both ends.
It is fascinating how we have reduced this incredibly complex biological orchestra down to a single hormone. We talk about it like it is just a volume dial we can turn up with the right supplement. But you are saying that this hormone is actually deeply anchored to everything else we do. It is tied to how we sleep, how we process stress, and how our nervous system regulates itself.
Exactly. Think of your body as a highly integrated corporate ecosystem. Testosterone is like the CEO. But if the accounting department, which is your metabolism, is in ruins, and the security team, which is your stress response, is constantly sounding the alarm, the CEO cannot do their job. Testosterone production is heavily influenced by your circadian rhythm, your sleep quality, and your autonomic nervous system. When you live in a state of chronic physiological overload, your body stops caring about optimization and shifts entirely into survival mode.
Survival mode. That makes perfect sense. But it is also deeply ironic. The very things men are doing to try and optimize themselves, the intense late-night gym sessions, the caffeine overload to push through the workday, the sacrifice of sleep to get more done, are the exact triggers putting their biology into a panic state. Let us talk about sleep first, because I feel like the sleep when I am dead mentality is still very much alive.
It is alive, but it is slowly killing the people who practice it. A massive portion of your daily hormonal regulation, including testosterone production, happens while you are in deep sleep. When you restrict sleep, you are essentially cutting off the body's primary maintenance window. Research consistently shows that even a few nights of restricted sleep can significantly drop testosterone levels. But it goes beyond just the hormone itself. Poor sleep shatters your insulin sensitivity, ruins your mood, and leaves your nervous system completely frayed. You cannot expect a machine to run at peak performance if you never let the engine cool down.
Which brings up a really vivid image. I'm picturing the guy who is lying in bed at midnight. He is physically exhausted. His muscles ache from the gym, but his eyes are wide open. He is scrolling through his phone. His mind is racing, and he is completely wired. He is exhausted, but he cannot power down.
That is the classic wired but tired state, and it is a hallmark of sympathetic nervous system overdrive. When you are under chronic stress, your body pumps out cortisol. Now, cortisol is not inherently evil. It is what wakes you up in the morning and keeps you alert. But when it is chronically elevated because you are over-caffeinated, overstressed, and under-recovered, it actively interferes with your sleep architecture. Your body literally thinks you are in danger. And from an evolutionary standpoint, if you are in danger, it is not a good time to relax, reproduce, or build muscle. The body prioritizes immediate survival over long-term vitality.
So we are essentially fighting a modern war with emails, deadlines, and traffic. But our biology thinks we are constantly running from a predator. And that perfectly transitions into something I see all the time in fitness culture. We are told that to get results, we have to suffer. More pain, more gain. But you are suggesting that more training is not always better, especially if the nervous system is already redlining.
That is a critical point. Exercise is a stressor. It is a beneficial stressor, but it is still stress. When you lift heavy weights or do intense cardio, you are breaking the body down. The actual growth, the adaptation, the strength that all happens during recovery. If you are already carrying a massive stress load from your lifestyle and poor sleep, and then you go punish yourself in the gym for 2 hours, you are not building yourself up. You are just digging a deeper hole. You push yourself into overtraining physiology, where your autonomic nervous system loses its balance.
It is almost a philosophical trap. We believe that effort directly correlates with outcome. If I put in twice the effort, I should get twice the results. But biology does not respect our modern work ethic. It demands balance. And I think this explains a very specific, frustrating phenomenon. The guy who trains relentlessly, eats relatively well, but still has this stubborn layer of visceral belly fat that just will not go away.
Yes, the classic stress belly. That is a perfect example of metabolic dysfunction driven by lifestyle. When cortisol is chronically high and sleep is poor, your insulin sensitivity drops. Your body becomes less efficient at managing blood sugar. And because your biology believes you are in a prolonged state of crisis, a famine, or a long winter, it starts hoarding energy. It specifically stores that energy as visceral fat around your organs because it is highly accessible for emergencies. You can do all the crunches in the world, but if your nervous system is in a state of panic, your body will refuse to let go of that fat. It is a biological defense mechanism.
That is incredibly illuminating. It is not a lack of discipline. It is a biological miscommunication. The body is just trying to save your life, but the physical changes are only half the story. What about the mental side? So many men today describe this profound emotional flatness. It is not necessarily depression in the clinical sense, but just a complete lack of drive. The things that used to excite them just feel like a chore.
That emotional flatness is directly tied to the nervous system being depleted. When you are sleep deprived and chronically stressed, it alters your dopamine regulation. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation, reward, and drive. When your dopamine pathways are blunted by continuous physiological strain, you lose that edge. You lose the desire to compete, to connect, and to push forward. Society often labels this as mental weakness or laziness, but it is not. It is a physiological strain. Your battery is essentially running on 1%, and the operating system is shutting down non-essential background apps like enthusiasm and high-level cognitive performance, just to keep the lights on.
So, if a man is listening to this and recognizing himself in this cycle of fatigue, poor sleep, and low drive, how does he actually know what is happening under the hood before he hits a total wall? We are notoriously bad at subjectively measuring our own burnout until it is too late.
That is exactly where modern health intelligence comes into play, specifically by looking at metrics like heart rate variability, or HRV. HRV measures the microscopic variations in time between your heartbeats. It is one of the most accurate windows into your autonomic nervous system. If your HRV is high, it means your nervous system is flexible, resilient, and ready to take on stress. If your HRV is trending downward, it means your body is stuck in that fight or flight mode. It is struggling to recover.
It is like the body is whispering to you before it decides to scream. If you can actually see that your nervous system is struggling on a Tuesday, you know that Wednesday is not the day to push for a personal record in the gym or stay up until 2 in the morning.
Precisely. And that is the shift we need to make. We need to move away from just tracking how many steps we took or how many calories we burned and start interpreting what our biology is actually telling us. Poor sleep, stress overload, and metabolic dysfunction will show up in your physiology long before you consciously feel the burnout. If you have the right intelligence, you can adjust your behavior. You can prioritize a rest day, get out in the sunlight, prioritize your sleep architecture, and actually allow your nervous system to reset.
It really requires a complete paradigm shift in how we view masculinity and strength. We have been conditioned to think that real strength is the ability to endure endless punishment. But perhaps real strength is actually the ability to maintain resilience in a world that is constantly trying to overstimulate you. It is about having the discipline to rest.
I could not agree more. The healthiest, highest performing men are rarely the ones who are the most exhausted. They are the ones who have mastered the art of intelligent recovery. They understand that sustainable adaptation is the key to longevity. You do not build a legacy by destroying your foundation.
That is a powerful thought to leave on. Testosterone, drive, and performance are not just about pushing harder. They are deeply, undeniably connected to how well we recover, how we sleep, and how we balance our nervous system against the chaos of modern life.
And the biggest mistake anyone can make right now is continuing to treat exhaustion as a badge of honor, rather than recognizing it for what it truly is, a warning signal from your own biology. The future of performance is not about doing more, it is about recovering better.
A reminder that true health intelligence is not just about gathering data, but actually understanding the story your body is trying to tell you. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you in the next conversation.